Hey everybody, we're here on a weekend and we thought we would do something new and we'd talk to Michael O'Brien. Why not?
Hi.
Be-
How you doing,
for
man?
the good. It's good to see you again. If anybody doesn't know, Michael and I we have some history and we have some things in common actually. Just through the course of us going back and forth, either talking about social media or reviews or magic, we've both learned that we're both Irish and we're both passionate about being Irish. We're both married. We both have kids. We both have worked at Disneyland. And so Michael has the privilege of working in the Disneyland Magic Store. And if you don't know, it is the only one. Out of all the Disney parks, there is only one magic store in all the Disney parks, and Michael has the privilege of working in there. There's even been some famous people that have worked there in the past, and we got the chance, my family got the chance to go into the store to meet him and see him perform. And so I thought, you know what? There's people that have never even been to Disneyland, and so I thought, well, let's talk about the store. Let's learn a little bit about Michael and just have a chat. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah, that sounds great. I'm ready, Freddy. So let's let's dive into it.
Well, I remember that when I wanted to get the job, I applied online. I went down to the parking structure and I got into an interview. And it was like right away they said, here's where you can work. You can work, I think they gave me the choice of working in food services or working attractions. And I was like, attractions. Look, I don't want to, and that's for those of you who don't know, that's working with the rides. And so
Mhm.
I immediately started working with the rides, but I can't imagine that you immediately got a job working at the Magic Store. Like that, there must have been some sort of story there.
Yeah, so my story working at the Disneyland Resort, and I'm just going to say the Disneyland Resort because there's actually three parts to Disney for those of you that don't know. Of course, I'm talking about the original Magic Kingdom in Anaheim, California. There's Disneyland Park, which is like the original theme park. There's the California Adventure Park, which is the add-on sort of expansion, the other park across from it. And then there's the downtown Disney district, which is sort of like the shopping center. That's where the hotels are. That's where all of like it's like an outdoor mall basically. It's not in the theme parks, but it's connecting kind of everything together. So that whole sort of plot of land is what we refer to as the Disneyland Resort. So fresh out of high school, I needed a job. And I had at this point I had been practicing magic a little bit. I met a magician in Hollywood that had showed me some really cool stuff, and he showed me like, you should check these books out and study this and learn how to do that and so on and so forth. So I was starting to practice. I was performing for my friends, but I wasn't really performing magic for like strangers, the general public just yet. It was mostly just people I knew. And so it just happened one day that I was wandering around. I don't remember if I was with a group of friends or whatever, but we were wandering around the downtown Disney district, and there was a little kiosk in the downtown Disney district there that sold magic tricks. It was called Houdini's Magic Shop. It's just like a little cart, right? Like the popcorn carts and like those, if you can imagine, or like those little kiosks that they have in the middle of the mall. Um, so
They're a
what I
chain. They're a
did,
chain, right?
Houdini Magic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Houdini Magic
yeah,
Shop was a chain based out of Las
yeah,
Vegas. So there was like four or
yeah.
five casinos that they were in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. They had a store in San Francisco, and then they had the little kiosk in the downtown Disney area.
Okay.
So I was like, dude, I'm about to graduate. I'm gonna need a job, right? So I put in my resume, and I was just like, I'm fresh out of high school, right? I'm just like looking for some work. If you need anybody, whatever, whatever. I just put in my resume. I didn't think anything was going to happen. Well, I graduate, and then like a couple weeks later, I get a phone call. All right, this is Mike, the Houdini Magic Kiosk in downtown Disney. I'm reading through your resume, and it looks like you're interested in working here. Are you still available for a job? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. And he's like, all right, come on down to the cart. Let's check you out, right?
Wow.
So I come down, and it was a little bit of an interview process where he just asked me some general questions about myself and what my experience was. And I'm like, none, fresh out of high school, basically. And he was like, okay, okay, no problem. You got good transportation, you live nearby, your car is not going to break down, like all the general stuff that most people ask you when they're going to hire you. And then they started asking the magic questions. Well, how long have you been doing magic for? What kind of magic tricks do you know? Do you know any of these magic tricks on the wall behind me? If I were to hand one of them to you right now, could you perform it for me? Right. And I'm like, sure. Which one do you want me to do? And so he hands me, I don't remember what it was, but he handed me a trick. Right. He's like, here, show me this. And so I do a quick little demonstration of it. And then he was basically like, now, every time we demonstrate a piece of magic, what we need to do is we need to show people that this is something that they can buy and tell them the price and all of that. So do it again, but this time add a sales pitch to it. So
Hmm.
I do it again, and then I add the little sales pitch. And this is the Svengali deck. You can, it's really easy to do. It comes with an instruction that teaches you how to do everything. The deck is a special deck of cards. So you don't have to have any skills or know any sleight of hand or anything like that. And we're selling this one for, $14.99 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so, I did this little audition thing, and I thought that it went pretty well, but I was just like, okay, like, well, I guess we'll wait and see if I'm gonna get hired or not. And like the next day, he like called me back and he was like, when do you want to start? So that was sort of my first time working at Disneyland. I was working for this little kiosk. Now I didn't work for the Walt Disney Company.
Right.
I worked for Houdini Magic, right? Did that for about a year. And I was like, you know what? I need more hours because I wasn't getting a whole ton of hours at the Magic Car. I was only part-time. I was working like 2 or 3 days a week. So I'm like, I need to make some more money. So what am I going to do? So then I did very similar to what you said, David. I went to they had like a little casting
Yeah.
fair thing, whatever they called it in the TDA area, the administrative area there. They had like a hiring fair or whatever. So I went in and I filled out some paperwork. And then about a week or so later, they called me in and they were like, okay, we want to do like this interview thing. And the first thing was what I call a personality test. And this is like, you're not even talking to a human. This is just like they stick you on a computer and they have you answer a series of questions, right? So, question number one, you are working at a ride and a child is not quite tall enough to ride the ride and now he's crying. What do you do? A, console the child and tell them it's okay, buddy, you'll be tall enough sooner than later. B, kick the kid in the pants and tell him, get out of here, kid, you're not tall enough to ride this ride. C, like offer them some sort of service solution, like
Yeah.
here's a fast pass for another ride. Right? Which one
Yeah.
do you pick? And it's like, well, obviously I'm going to kick the kid in the pants and tell him to get out of here. Right? And so, it was like 20 questions or whatever. So you fill out this like little personality thing. And then the real interview process actually starts where you're talking to an actual casting person. That's what they call it, by the way. They call it casting. They don't call it hiring.
Yeah.
They call it casting. And you're not an employee,
Right.
you're a cast member.
Let's remember. Yep.
And so luckily for me, I had been working on Disney property, so I already kind of knew all the buzzwords, right? So they're like, what's the most important aspect of your job? And I'm like, making sure that everyone is safe, right? Because safety is the most important thing, and maintaining a very courteous, because like they have like their, like
Keys.
safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency. They have
Yeah, the
like their
keys.
keys and everything. And so, like I already knew a lot of this stuff. So I was hitting them with all the buzzwords and everything like that. And they were like, great, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'd love to work in attractions and I'd love to work on the Jungle Cruise. That's been my favorite ride for a long time.
Me too.
And they were like, awesome, we're going to stick you on Indiana Jones. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I like Indiana Jones, the franchise, but I don't want to work in an attraction where you just press a button and watch the cars go around. It just sounded boring to me.
And you're not outside. You're like
Right? Yeah, they're
a
indoors.
you're in a
Yeah, you're
dungeon,
indoors for
really. It's
most of
like
it.
dark.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
it's like
there's no
loud in
air.
there. Right? And so I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring, but whatever. Maybe I can do it and I can work my way up to Jungle Cruise and then, that'll be fun. I learned how to operate Indy and I fall in love with it. I absolutely fall in love with it. It was my first time being exposed to a dispatch attraction type ride,
Yeah,
right? Where you're loading guests and then pressing buttons and moving the vehicles and stuff.
yeah,
And I just fell in love with the operation as a whole.
yeah,
And so now they asked me, oh, well, we want to train you on another ride. What ride would you like to learn? And I was like, I want to go to Big Thunder Mountain because that's like the next level of like dispatch attractor. That's the big guy. That's the roller coaster, right? I want to learn that ride. And they're like, cool, we're going to put you on Jungle Cruise now,
yeah. Because
right?
they keep you in Adventureland.
So I did Jungle Cruise for about 6 months straight, and Jungle Cruise really put me through the ringer as a performer as well.
Yeah, I
For those
bet.
of you that don't know, basically the Jungle Cruise is a little river boat ride where you go through the jungles of the world, and you're like this kind of quick and witty skipper that's like taking people on this safari adventure. The whole time you're telling like these really bad jokes, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know, that right over there is a Bengal tiger. He can leap over 25 feet. But don't worry, folks, we're not in any kind of danger because we're only about 15 feet away. So he's just going to jump clear over the boat. Like those kinds of like
yeah,
jokes and stuff. Um, and so you really have to learn delivery and you really have to learn how to, make people laugh telling this script that is completely, it's just 100% dad jokes. Like there's no other way to
yeah,
put it. It's just all
yeah.
imagine the dad jokes that your father tells you and you're just like, "Oh, dad, go away." Right? Those are the dad jokes that basically are in this
Yeah.
script and you have to deliver them in such a way that makes people like have a good time and laugh and have fun and all that. Right?
Right.
So working on the Jungle Cruise for me was very influential in how I shaping like the way I perform because I do a lot of that kind of humor, right? So like
Yeah.
I do Jungle Cruise jokes in my acts. I'd be like, all right, is this anyone's first magic show? Anyone's first magic show? Oh, a couple people. Very good. Welcome. I hope you guys have a good time. Anyone's last magic show, right? And I look around, a couple people put their hands up, and I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta bring my best material today because I want to make sure that
Yeah.
you guys, this isn't your last time seeing magic or whatever. And then I roll into my act. So working at the Jungle Cruise really shaped my career and everything. And then I'd go on to eventually work at Big Thunder Mountain and on the railroad that went around Disneyland and all that stuff. And I did all of that
Wow.
for about
Wow.
8 years. I became a lead and a trainer in my area. So I was teaching people how to operate the equipment. I was teaching people how to work the rides, and I was
Wow.
a supervisor, basically,
Yeah.
managing the whole operation and everything like that. So I did all of that for about 8 years. Meanwhile, I'm doing my magic stuff on the side, and my magic business is starting to grow and grow. So now I
Are
got
you
to a
still at
point
are you
where
still at the kiosk though? Or
no, I
no?
left. I ended up leaving the kiosk very shortly after I got my
Okay.
job at Disney because the schedules just didn't end up working out, and Disney was going to give me more hours. So I ended up just doing that. But I'm doing my magic thing on the side, like my own personal business,
Yeah.
booking gigs and stuff. And my business got to a point where I was doing enough work that it was actually bumping heads with Disney a little bit. And what do I mean by that? Well, when I need to book a gig, I need to put it in my calendar. And usually you book these events like weeks or months in advance. It's not like, oh, are you free next Tuesday? Yeah,
Right.
let's do it. It's usually like, hey, in like 2 months on like the 23rd, we're having this event. Are you available that day? And so what I would do is I would put in a request for time off with Disney to make sure that I had that day available so
Yeah.
that I can do the
Yeah.
event. And especially if you're in the middle of like the summertime or like a really busy time of the year, Disney was notorious for just denying any kind of request that you put in. They would just deny it. I
Sure.
felt like they didn't even look at it half the time. They would just like deny them like automatically. And so I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how it felt at least. And so it got to a point where I'm like, dude, I'm having to like really like try to find people to trade shifts with and in some cases call out because I didn't want to miss these gigs. And so I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I want to focus on doing magic full time. So I left Disney. Left Disney in 2016. Fast forward now to 2019, And the magic kiosk that used to be out in downtown Disney, they grew up and they became a big boy. They're not in downtown Disney anymore. They have actually moved into the Disneyland park, and they are now inside of the Main Street Magic Shop on Main Street in Disneyland. So, like right when you first walk in Disneyland, where all of those stores are, there's a magic shop there, and that is where Houdini Magic Shop now resides. And I think that they've been there since like 2010 or 2011, something like that.
Okay.
Right. So the manager there at the magic shop, he gives me a call and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to work here at the magic shop. I really, trust your opinion. Do you know anybody that might be interested?" And I was just like, "Here's the deal. When I was working at Disney, they weren't giving me the time off that I needed to do my gigs. But it would still be nice to have a steady flow of income working an hourly job that I can do every day. And I just know that my bills are going to get paid."
Yeah.
So I'm like, uh, let me ask you this. If you were to hire me, right, would you give me the time off that I need? And he was like, as long as you give me advance notice, don't tell me like, "Hey man, tomorrow I need
All
a
right.
day off."
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me like 3 weeks in advance at least, and I'll be happy
Yeah.
to work with that. And I was like, all right, done. Let's do it. I'll come in and I'll work there. So I got hired to work again for the same company, but this time
Yeah.
inside the park, right? So now I'm working at the Main Street Magic Shop. This is like June, July, something like that. 2019, I got hired. Did that for about 6, 7 months, and then a worldwide pandemic started. Right now, here's the cool thing. I think for me, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise that I actually, because this job, let's be honest, it fell into my lap. I wasn't looking to work there. It kind of just
Yeah.
happened, the right place, right time kind of thing. If I wasn't working there when the pandemic started, I would have been pretty screwed financially. And the reason is because we were not getting any kind of financial aid as like 1099 gig workers,
Yeah.
right? We weren't getting any kind of assistance from the government for that. So you just, not only was I not getting paid, but I had to refund a lot of gigs that canceled because everything was shutting down.
Yeah.
Venues were closing. People are like, "Oh, we have to postpone our wedding," or, "Hey, we had this big company
Yeah.
holiday party lined up, but we can't do that anymore. We got to shut that down." Right. So I had to refund a lot of work. Luckily, I was able to qualify for unemployment assistance because I was working a W-2 gig, right? My main job, my Disney job that I was doing. And on top of that, qualified for those like little stimulus bonuses that they were adding to the
Yeah.
unemployment insurance. It's like $600 a week or whatever. So I was able to make that work, and I was able to continue to pay my bills even though I wasn't working. And to try to dig myself out of the hole that I got myself into. Now, fast forward
But
now.
Disney's open during the pandemic, right?
No, Disney was closed
Oh,
for about a year and a half. Yeah.
the whole park just
Hmm.
closed. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
Disney was closed for a while. So now fast forward, I want to say maybe March, April, something like that, 2021,
Okay.
things started to slowly open up again and Disney Park opened. And so now I went back to working at the magic shop on Main Street again. And things very slowly just kind of started getting back to normal. And now we're at a point where everything is 100% back to normal again.
Right.
Day-to-day operations, the park is freaking packed, like elbow to elbow, just about every single day, which good for Disney. They're making their money, you know.
Yeah.
And during all of this, about 2 years ago or so, uh, as a result of the pandemic, unfortunately, Houdini Magic was getting ready to file bankruptcy because they just couldn't keep everything open. So a company called Vanishing Inc.
Who's
They
that?
came in. Uh, they came in and they were like, "Look, we want to help out. We can either stock your product for you, and maybe we can do some kind of like consignment deal or something. Just kind of keep the shop open because we don't want you to lose the magic shop.
Right.
Or the other option is maybe we can just buy you outright and we'll just own the company. And Gino, you can retire and ride off into the sunset because he's getting up there in age to Gino Minori. He was the owner of the Houdini Magic Shop chain. And the only two shops that were still operating at this time were the two California locations. There's the Disneyland Magic Shop at Disneyland Park, and then there was the Houdini Magic Shop at Pier 39 in San Francisco was still open. All of the Las Vegas locations had shut by this point, so it was just those two places, and it was looking a little 90% off, everything must go clearance sale kind of situation in there for a while. There was like no product on the wall. It was very obvious that we were going out of business. And so Vanishing Ink came in and they bought everything out, and Vanishing Ink ended up taking over. And so the really cool thing about that whole situation now is not only do we have the Houdini Magic Shop product, but now the gates just opened to an entire warehouse full of
Yeah.
Vanishing Inks stuff, and we were starting to carry some new things in the shop and all of that stuff. So I know it was a little bit of a long-winded story, but that's how I got started at Disneyland,
Yeah.
all the way from the very beginning, all the way to now. And so that's where we
So,
are now.
so Mickey Mouse isn't your boss. Andy Gladwin's your boss.
Exactly. Yeah. So Joshua J. Andy Gladwin owned Vanishing Ink. And basically, the best way to think about it is Disney owns the building, and Vanishing Ink is paying rent to lease the space. Vanishing Ink staffs the magicians and all of the magic product and all of that stuff. And we just pay rent to Disney to be in there. So I'm technically not a cast member anymore,
Sure.
but I still work at the Disneyland Park as an operational partner, I think is what they call us now, operation partner or something like that. OP is the abbreviation. I forget exactly what it stands for. But yeah, so
So
that's kind of the capacity I'm in now.
what's it like working at the store itself? Like, do you get a steady flow of customers, or do you find that there's peaks and valleys? Like, it's hard to imagine people want to go to this place that has rides, and then they would voluntarily walk in and want to see magic or buy
Yeah,
magic.
so I'm almost exclusively an opener. Every once in a while I'll close if the scheduling works out that way. And the reason I'm an opener is just because it works best for me.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's kind of slow in the mornings. And it's exactly the reason that you just said. People come in the gate and they don't want to do their shopping in the morning. They want to go on rides. They want to get as many rides in as they can. They want to go get autographs with their favorite characters and all of that stuff. While the lines are small, because throughout the day, the lines get bigger and bigger for all of that stuff. So the busiest times of the day in the magic shop are going to be right after the parade, because people are going to be done with the parade and they're going to go do their shopping. And then a lot of people leave right after the parade. Either they go back to their hotel to go take a nap or unwind or drop off their 20,000 bags of stuff that they bought into the hotel, right? And then they come back into the park later, or they just leave for the day because it's like locals and they're just going to spend a few hours in the park. They don't stay all night.
Right.
The other busiest part of the day is going to be after the fireworks show has happened at night, usually about an hour or so before the park closes, because again, people are leaving the park. And where we're situated is right at the exit. You know how they say exit through the gift shop and
Yeah.
they try to sell you stuff like right before you leave? Literally, we are situated right at the exit. And whoever came up with this idea is a genius, but the park closes, and then the whole Main Street area where all the shops are, stay open one extra hour to let people, spend the last couple of bucks they have in their wallets
Yeah.
before they leave the park. So all the rides will shut and they'll kind of kick everyone out, but they'll be like, oh, you guys don't have to leave all the way. Just go shop for a little bit and then you can leave. Right? So those are the busiest times as far as how many customers there are. Now there's two different kinds of customers. There are people that come into the shop because they want to learn magic, they want to buy magic, and then there are people that come into the shop because they just love magic and they just want to see a little show, right? So what my job is to demonstrate some of the product that we have in there, right? You give them a little bite, You don't do like a full performance. You just do like a quick little 30-second little demonstration of the trick, what it is, what it does. You give them your sales pitch, right? Just like I mentioned earlier. This is the thingamabob. It comes with this and this and this. It's really easy to learn. It comes with full instructions and everything like that. This thingamabob is, $29.99. If you buy a second thingamabob with it from this list, you get the third thingamabob for free, and so on and so forth, right? You do like little bundle deals and stuff. So you do a little demo for them and you show them the trick, and hopefully they want to buy something, because ultimately, although performing magic is a lot of fun, at the end of the day, I'm a salesman. My job
Right,
is
your
to get
store.
people to want to buy things.
Yeah.
So you want to demonstrate the magic for them in such a way that you're not necessarily trying to impress them or fool them. You're trying to show them, look, you could do this
You can do
too. And
this. Yeah.
imagine your friends' faces when you just do this really cool thing that I showed you for them. So a
Yeah.
lot of times I'll take the product, I'll put it in their hands, I'll let them try it themselves, even if they don't know what they're doing. You choreograph it in such a way that it works in their hands, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, if I'm doing a Svengali deck, I'll be like, yeah, watch, cut to the three of diamonds. You don't even know what you're doing, but just cut the cards anywhere that you want. They're going to cut it. And of course, the way that the deck is built, they're going to cut to the three of diamonds, right? So then it works. They don't know how it works, but it did. And now it's like,
Right.
yeah, you don't even know what you're doing and you were still able to make it work. So you learn very quickly how to not just perform magic for people, but how to sell to them too, because it's like a whole nother side of being a performer, being a product demonstrator, right? Like selling, pitching. That's what they call it, pitching product to
Yeah.
people to get them to want to buy it.
When I was in there, I was really surprised that like you guys actually have like real stuff, like real quality stuff and expensive things, or even a magic. You have books.
Hmm.
I wouldn't believe that those things sell very well. Like I would think that you're selling more, like you said, more like I'm selling a lot of Svengali decks.
Yeah, so the three number one sellers are going to be we call them the Spirit Lights. It's our
Yeah.
version of the D Lights basically, but a little bit of a different gimmick. It doesn't use the thumb tips; it uses a different gimmick. But ultimately, it's the same thing. You make little lights appear at your fingers, go through your ears, up your nose, all that stuff. The helicopter card, we call it the UFO card, right? You make the little card spin like a helicopter around your body and levitate and all of that stuff. And then either our Svengali deck or our marked deck are going to be our two. They kind of compete head to head depending on the day, however many we sell of them. But one of those two card tricks is usually the ones that we sell the most of. We are what you would consider a layman facing magic shop. Like we cater to the general public.
Yeah.
95% of the people that come in that shop have never even seen magic before, let alone perform it.
Right.
So that's who we're trying to get interested. We're trying to be like, hey, you've never done this before, but it's never too late to learn. And this is the
Yeah.
best place to learn because look, all of these whatchamahoos that's on the wall here, you can pick the one that you like the best. Oh, you don't know what they do? Pick the color that you like the best. This one's in a green box, that one's in a blue box, right? It doesn't really matter. You're going to buy one of these things and you're going to take it home and you're going to be able to show your family and your friends. In fact, let
Yeah.
me show you my three favorite ones. And of course, I'm going to demonstrate the ones that we know that sell the best. Um, and so you demonstrate those. Hopefully they buy them, right? That's kind of the goal. And then hopefully they take it home, they actually practice it, they actually get good at it. And you never know, maybe you just created a new magician, right?
Right.
I'm sure
I mean
most
that
people just buy it and they try
sure.
it once and that's it. But there
Yeah.
are going to be people that buy the trick, take it home, practice it, show it to their friends, and then the next thing you know, now they're outperforming magic for people,
Right.
right?
And
And
probably most people
then
are buying one thing, right? A lot of people are
most
just
people
going to
will
buy
buy one
one.
thing or they'll take
Yeah.
advantage of our bundle deal and they might get like a couple of things. Now you mentioned the books. The other 5% of the people that come in are people that are already into magic. Either they're hobbyists, sometimes professionals will come in. And they're not going to buy a Svengali deck. They're not going to buy a
Sure.
helicopter card. They're not going to buy, that stuff. So usually we try to cater to them by also having things that we know that they would like. And 9 times out of 10, books are a really easy sale for a magician that comes in. And all of the books are price matched to our website too. So if they buy it from us, They can walk out the store with it, and they're not paying like anything extra. Because it's Disneyland, things are more expensive, right? Like a deck of Theory 11 playing cards is $20 at the Magic Shop, as opposed to like 14 that you would find at like Target. And it's just because we had to add that little Disney tax to it, right? Because we got to pay the bills and everything. But all of our official Vanishing Ink products, like our books and all that stuff, there's no markup on any of that stuff. It's the same price as if you were to find it on our website. So a lot of magicians will come in and they'll be like, "Oh man, I've been wanting this thing, but I don't want to wait like 3 weeks for it to be mailed out
Right.
to me. I'm just gonna grab it now." And then now they got it, right? So
Yeah, have you've seen famous people walk in probably, or at least
yeah, we get
magicians?
loads of celebrities that come in. Now I'll be honest with you, I'm the opener 90% of the time. Celebrities, if they do come into the store, they come in at night, like towards the end of the night. And 9 times out of 10, they're with their kids and their kids want to come in, right? Um, Off the top of my head, Bobby Lee was in not too long ago, the comedian. Um, the guy from You, the guy with the beard, the creepy guy in the movie You, or the Netflix show. I don't know if you've heard of it. The main guy, right? He was in the shop not too long ago. You had
Magicians, though. Like like what about magicians?
oh, Magic Orthodoxy came into the magic shop. That was a
I don't
pretty
know who
big
that guy
deal.
is.
That was a pretty big deal.
Real magicians.
Chris Angel came in not too long ago. I wasn't there for that. And apparently David Blaine and David Copperfield too. So kind of all three of the big the big ones came in like kind of one after the other. Shin Lim is there all the time.
Really?
He's got an annual pass with him and his wife, so they're there like
That's
all
true.
the
I've seen him
time.
on socials. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're there
Does
like all the time. He'll pop in and say hi.
does anybody come to seek you out?
Yeah, it's pretty popular actually. I mean, not to, pat
Oh
myself on the
yeah.
back or anything. I do have quite a few people that come in and they either ask for me, like, "Hey, is Michael working today?" Or they're pleasantly surprised that they ran into me. "Oh my God, you're Michael O'Brien. That's so cool." I get to see
Right.
me. I have like my own little fan base and stuff on my, for my YouTube channel and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Um, Someone today came in to the magic shop from England, and they recognized me. I didn't know them, and they didn't know me personally, but they knew of me. They knew who I was and everything, so that was kind of
Yeah.
cool. Um, Craig Petty and Ryland came in to surprise me one time. They
Wow.
didn't tell me that they were there. They were shooting for America's Got Talent, so they just happened to be in Los Angeles, and they just came in to surprise me and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I mean, some pretty big names in the magic community have come through those doors. The one question that everyone always asks me is, does Steve Martin ever come in? Now, for those of you that don't know, Steve Martin, he's a famous actor, comedian, musician. He plays the banjo, and he's freaking good at it. And he's a magician as well. He grew up, doing comedy magic, but still magic.
Yeah.
And he got his start doing magic at the magic shop on Main Street. So
Yeah.
at the shop that I'm currently working at.
Yeah.
So there's like a framed picture of him there that he autographed and everything. And people come in all the time. "Oh, did you Steve Martin used to work here?" and all that stuff. Um, I haven't seen him. I'm sure he's probably popped his head in a couple of times. I've never seen him around. I would imagine if I'm like a big shot and I don't know, I used to work at Walmart and they had like my picture on the wall. "Oh, famous Michael O'Brien used to work here at Walmart." I'm probably not going to want to go visit that Walmart store. So I mean, I don't know. I kind of get it, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Steve Martin around, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, but along with that, and this is just another fact or trivia. You'd mentioned earlier, like I don't know whose idea that was. Like literally, the Magic Store has been there since day one. Like it is one of those places that Walt Disney originally said, "This
Hmm.
is what I want. I want a Magic Store in this place where people can see magic, buy magic." And it's been there ever since, where other stores and other rides, things have come and gone.
Hmm.
Magic Store is still there. And like when you think about how many brick and mortar stores are still even left in the world, like the Disney Magic Store has been there for a long time, and I hope it's always there.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of history. In fact, when Vanishing Ink took over, one of the things that they told them was you're not really allowed to alter anything in the shop because a lot of the stuff that's in there, even the woodwork, and you can kind of tell like stuff is falling apart. But like a lot of the woodwork in there, it's the original, woodwork from the shop. Like there's the main podium where like the cash register is, and underneath that shelf there's two things holding up the shelf, and they're dragons, right? Like whole freaking dragons. And the reason that they're dragons is because when the shop first opened, it was operated by Merlin's magic, right? So it was like the whole, Merlin from like the Sword in the Stone. It had that
Yeah,
sort of like vibe to it.
yeah,
Um, and it stayed Merlin's magic for a really long time. I don't remember the exact year that Merlin's stopped running the store. I don't know if it was like late 70s or early 80s or something like that. And then Disney kind of took over running the store for a long time. And then I think Disney just got to a point where they were like, they weren't really putting magicians in the store anymore. They were just kind of putting whoever, like cast members in there. And so the sales started to dramatically decline because they weren't demonstrating anything.
right.
The only people that were demonstrating things were either people that had already been there for a really long time and they just knew the magic that was in there, or people that took the initiative to learn a couple of tricks so that they
Learning.
could have fun
Yeah,
and perform it for people in there. But Disney wasn't training them on any of that. So their whole thing was they were like, we're just going to turn this into another shop, right? And it just won't be a magic shop anymore. And that didn't go over very well. So I don't know how Gino pitched it to them, but I would imagine it went something along the lines of, look, you don't have to worry about running the magic shop anymore. Let us do it. Just
yeah.
rent the space to us. And then that's when Gino, like I said, I want to say like 2010-ish. Gino came in with Houdini Magic Shop and took over. So
Any other like weird story or fun tidbit about the store that you can think of that you want to share?
weird stories.
Well, not necessarily weird, but just like, I don't know, trivia or like one thing that you said about the Merlin's thing, or like, if people, okay, let's say people walk in, they've never seen the store before,
mhm.
like what are they going to expect to see when they come in?
Yeah, so the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to walk in. If they look just to their left, they're going to see a little phone there, and the phone is going to play a recording of Harry Houdini doing his famous speech in 1914, talking about how he was going to escape upside down from his straitjacket hanging off like the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever it was. And that was recorded by Thomas Edison. And we have the original recording. That was donated by David Copperfield from his museum. So you just put the phone to your ear and you can actually listen to that whole speech. It's hard to hear because it's
Yeah,
from 1914, and also it's just like very loud in the park. So you got to kind of do one of these to listen to it. But that's a kind of a cool little piece of history there inside of
yeah,
that little phone machine. And then when you come into the shop is tiny. It's probably about the size of your living room, maybe even smaller than that.
yeah.
Um, you come in, and then there's going to be product on the wall, and then there's going to be a magician standing behind the little podium there, behind the counter, and he's going to demonstrate some stuff for you, right? So he's going to show you some of the tricks that are there, and kind of show you around the store, show you some of the deals and everything that are going on. The shop next door to us is currently called 20th Century Music, or is it 21st Century Music? I always forget.
Yeah.
Um, and it used to be a music store. Now
Hmm.
it's kind of like the official pin store where they sell like all the
Yeah.
trading pins and everything. It used to actually be a music store. You can go in there and you could buy musical instruments, you could buy sheet music and all that stuff. Before it was a music store, it was a cigar shop where you could go in and you can buy cigars, right? A couple of doors down, there used to be a lingerie store there called the Wizard of Bras,
Yeah.
right? So that's an interesting thing as well, right? And all that stuff was kind of situated in the same area. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of fun kind of history around. We have on the outside, there's like windows. The way that they've designed the main street, they wanted it to look like a real fully operational main street, downtown area basically.
Yeah.
So up above the magic shop is themed like a hotel. But if you look on the windows, there are, company, it looks like a company or something. It's like, so and so and sons, car wash service or whatever, right?
Right.
But the names of the people are actually famous Imagineers, people that had a major influence on Disneyland in some way. And the one that's in the window above the magic shop, or one of them, I should say, because there's a couple, is Tony Baxter. And for those of you who are not aware, Tony Baxter was very influential on a lot of the attractions that we have at Disneyland. Tony Baxter brought Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you a whole lot of other ones. But Space Mountain, I want to say too. He was very influential in bringing these ideas from the paper into the park,
Yeah.
right, for these big attractions and stuff. So that's kind of cool. I thought that was interesting. That, of course, it's going to be Tony Baxter's name that's on the window. When I worked at a couple of the attractions that he created, and I got a chance to meet Tony Baxter too when I was working at Disneyland for the Walt Disney Company in attractions. I was working at Big Thunder Mountain, and we went dark for a couple of years. They completely gutted out all of the track and everything, and they replaced it with all new track. They replaced it with new animatronics, new show scenes, new special effects, and all of that. And Tony Baxter was heading the Imagineering team on that. So I actually got to work alongside Tony Baxter in that capacity, because while the ride was closed, they had some of the operations cast members, like the people that worked on the rides, there helping out with the refurbishment. Now, the job wasn't necessarily super glorious. It was a lot of, all right, you're going to cycle that brake 100 times today. So you're just like 500 times or whatever it was, just opening and closing the brakes and stuff. But it was really cool because we got to see, these Imagineers and stuff doing their thing in their element.
Yeah.
As far as crazy trivia stuff, I don't know a whole lot more about the Magic Shop, but that's just a couple of little nuggets for you.
I think anybody who's planning a trip to the Los Angeles Disneyland proper, they should definitely swing by the Magic Store, and even if you're not there, they should check it out and at least visit.
Yeah, come in anyway. And if I am there, come say hi and let me know that you saw me here.
Yeah. Or you'd let a guest perform magic, right? Like if a guest wanted to show you a magic trick, you'd let them.
Oh, all the time. Yeah. We have guests of all ages and skill levels that come in and they're like, oh, I've been working on this thing. Can I show you? And they'll show us. There's a little girl that comes in. She's maybe 7 years old, maybe 8 years old now. She comes in, and every time she comes in, she shows me a new trick that she learned, just like watching YouTube or whatever. And they're pretty good. They're not like, I got a deck of cards, I only need 21, let me make 3 rows of 7 cards. Like, it's not just like the same kinds of tricks that we've seen 100 times. Like, they'll come in and they'll show you something that you've never even seen before. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, so big thanks to Michael O'Brien for talking to me this past hour, doing a little interview, learning more about the Disneyland Magic Shop. Tell me down below if you like these interviews, done 2 of them so far. Let me know if you would like to see more of that. Got a killer podcast coming up with Michael O'Brien. He and I are going to sit down and we're going to talk about what it takes to start talking and performing to strangers. It's going to be cool. It's going to be the first in an ongoing series, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that as well. Follow Michael O'Brien on all his socials, and I'll see you next time. Bye.